Over the last few years, I've been following somebody on YouTube by the name of Matt Divala. Now, maybe you've seen him before, maybe not, but he makes lots of videos about minimalism and how he implements it in his life and how it works for him. A while ago, he came out with a video where he counted every single thing that he owned as a minimalist. The average person in the US owns 300,000 things. And I've been curious to know, how many things do me and my wife own that we have in this van? Between my wife and I, we have about 80% of the things that we own in this van with us at all times. We do also have a 6x12 trailer where we have a few things stored, some extra clothes and whatnot, and I also have quite a few tools in that trailer for working. But I've been curious to know, how many things do we have in this small space that we use on a daily basis and that I've really been surviving on for the past 2 years living in vans. I don't necessarily call myself a minimalist, but I think I am one because I don't like lots of clutter around or things that I don't use. I just see it as pointless, and once those things start piling up, it makes it hard for me to focus or concentrate. I would say for me, as far as household items or van hold items, whatever you want to call them, those are items that are easier for me to be particular about what exactly I want to keep and what I don't want to keep. I think where I struggle with minimalism a little bit more is when I'm working or building the van, or working with building materials, I should say. I often find myself with a small scrap piece of plywood, which is worth a little bit of money, and I don't want to throw it away or burn it because I think there's something else I can use that for. And sometimes there is, and sometimes there's not. It's really hard to say, but for me, those types of things really start to pile up. It's time to start counting. Now, deciding what to count is definitely a tricky thing. So the way that I'm going to go about it is, if a thing needs another thing for it to work, that thing will be counted as one. For example, this battery charger block needs this cord in order to charge, so that's going to be counted as one. I will count things that are consumable but not food. For instance, paper towel. I will not count every single paper towel in this roll, but this is one roll of paper towels. Nobody just wears one sock. You need a pair of socks, so a pair of socks is one thing. There are several things that I'm not going to count. I'm not going to count anything that is part of the camper van. So I'm not going to count the cushions, for instance, but I will count the sheets. I'm not going to count our toilet, but I will count the extra cartridges that we have. I'm not going to count the seats that are used at the breakfast bar because they will stay with the van. And I'm also not going to count all of the owner's manuals that I kept for all of the devices that are located in the van. I'm sure I'm going to run into a few things that don't really fall into those examples that I just gave, and I'm just going to use my best judgment to count them as accurately as possible. For me, since I guess I am a minimalist, I feel like this is something that I have developed over the years without really necessarily trying to. I think this is just something I naturally gravitate to. I feel like some of my life circumstances maybe have pushed me in this direction that I've gone in, but for the most part, it's been pretty natural for me to be a minimalist. I've always enjoyed to know why I have something or where I got it, or kind of the story behind the thing. Not that I care about things too much. I don't really like a lot of things. But for me, it's something that brings intention into my life and makes everything feel like it's a little bit important.
Yep, that's everything. Well, not everything, but it had to set up for a good thumbnail, you know?
Alright, so the first thing that I wanted to do is create a nice thumbnail with the drone, and so I've done that. I laid a lot of our things out on the desert floor here. It's a really nice day for it. It's not too windy. The ground is not very dusty. It's kind of like gravel, so all of our stuff won't get too dusty, so that's very convenient. But just want to show you a little bit of the types of things that we do carry with us. So starting up here, we have a paddle board that we both go on. It's a little tight with two people, but it works. Life jackets to accompany that. We have spike ball. If anybody ever wants to play spike ball with us, we're always looking for spike ball players. So hit us up. Fill hose, fly fishing rod, guitar, awning bag, some camera gear, tool bag, and longboard. On the tarp, we have lots of camping gear, backpacks, sleeping pads, sleeping bags, camp stove, extra blanket, climbing gear, my wife's easel, and then of course we have our bikes right here, helmets for bikes, and our backpacks. I think it could be easy to slip into a lifestyle of minimalism where you're worried or anxious about every little new thing that comes into your space because you're always so focused on it. But I think I've just trained myself to deal with little things as they come in, and I just do it naturally. That way I don't feel like I'm focusing on minimalism all the time. Well, that's it. Everything is counted. I have the grand total here. So before I tell you what the total is, you should comment down below what you think it is. Come on. Do it. Do it! Okay, to start off, the amount of things that I own, 227. So I would include my camera gear and my clothing, and that's honestly about it that I consider to be my own. A lot of things I consider to be co-owned, so we'll get into that later. So Julianne's things, she owns, in the van, 285 items, so a little bit more than me. She's got a lot of painting materials, which I think added up to be a little bit more than the camera items that I have. And let me see here, I believe she has a little bit more clothing than I do. I have 120 pieces of clothes, and she has 152 pieces of clothes. Okay, now the co-owned items. So a total number of co-owned items that we have is 782. So items that we store in our garage is 123 items. Kitchen and toiletries, 292 items. Climbing and camping gear is 127 items. And miscellaneous items, which I didn't really know how to categorize. That's just like pens and random notebooks and that kind of stuff, is 240 items. So total co-owned items, once again, is 782, which gives us a total of...
Now I'm here to show you my way of doing a drum roll.
1,294 items. When I started counting, I had no idea. I had no idea how many items we would have. My only gauge was the video that I saw from Matt, and I believe he owned around 1,600 items between he and his wife. So I don't know, I thought maybe around 1,600, probably less though, because of our living situation, can't store as much in the van as you would in a house. So I'm wondering, if we included all the items that we have stored in our trailer, I have a feeling that we would probably be right around that 1,600 mark. So I don't know, does that qualify us as minimalists? I don't think you can really put a number on the items that you own to be considered a minimalist. I think it's more so a lifestyle and how you choose to use your things, or what things you want to keep around rather than the actual amount of things that you have. I suppose there's different ways that minimalism could be defined, but I guess that's how I'm going to define it. If you've ever counted all of the things that you own, definitely drop a comment down below and let me know how many things you own. I feel like not many people do this, but if you have, let me know. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and don't forget to hit subscribe down below, and I will see you in the next video.